So the city of Cote St Luc, and this comes in the wake, by the way, of us discussing last week Montreal's new master plan, something that's finally being addressed so many years later. City of Cote St Luc's doing the same. I just love this idea because I know very little about it, of something called the 15-minute city, which sounds cool. So we thought we would get the mayor of Cote St Luc, Mitchell BROWNSTEIN, to explain exactly what that means and what Cote St Luc is doing. And by the way, this is just the initial part of a public consultation. It's not happening in the next 6 or 12 months. Mitchell, thanks for being here this afternoon.
Nice to be with you. Thanks a lot for having me.
So let's start by talking about this 15-minute city idea, something I guess that is popular maybe in parts of Europe. What's the plan here?
Well, the idea is to have residential, commercial, bike paths and transit of all kinds of options so people can do everything that they want right where they live. It was a bedroom community in the 1950s that was built, and people would take their cars and work somewhere else. Now, a lot of people work from home, and they want to have another way to get to work. Not everybody wants to take their car. So we have train stations that we're hoping to get built. Developers are willing to do it at the Cavendish Mall, at the Cote St Luc Shopping Centre, along with pedestrian walkways over the tracks. So if there was a train station at Cote St Luc Shopping Centre, for example, you'd be able to access it from Parkhaven, which is from the south and the north side of our city. It would bring it together. Remember the ice storm? Everybody was stuck. If you had that, they'd be able to get out. They'd be able to, no matter where they are in Cote St Luc, they'd take in the pedestrian walkway, get on the train, and get out. So we want people to have other options than cars to get around. And we want them to have everything they need right at home.
So you're fairly underserved. My mom lives in Cote St Luc. You're fairly underserved right now as far as public transit goes. You may have train tracks, but you don't have a train station anywhere. So in this public consultation that you're going to do, how involved are citizens? Who gets to sort of come up with the idea? Are developers, the city, or everybody?
Right. So what we have now is it's called Engage. We have a website. We have online surveys. We have in-person meetings. In fact, this Wednesday, we're having presentations from individuals and other groups that have ideas, because whatever we want to do, we're really only at the planning stages. We do have offers. All three malls, the major malls, want to redevelop. They want to build communities that are similar to what you see on Monkland in terms of all the life that goes on there, restaurants and stores, with residential on top, and they're willing to build a train station if we are allowed to get on that train. So we're in negotiations with the transit community to be allowed to get on and off, and they're interested. They are, because right now you can get on at Montreal West, and that's it. You can't get the commuter train every day going by our city. It goes by the Carry Square, and it goes by Cote St Luc Shopping Centre. And if you can get on and off there, that would be great. The developers at the Carry Square are talking about a pedestrian walkway possibly over to the Metro, right from the development of the Carry Square. So pedestrian walkways, bike paths, it all could be incorporated. And we know there's going to be a massive extension of the bike path throughout the city. So we are close to that as well.
Mayor BROWNSTEIN, I found it pretty interesting to read that the population of Cote St Luc had been stagnating for decades, right? But now there's been quite an increase in the last 5 years. So is the idea here kind of, planning for future increases, but also trying to keep those residents in Cote St Luc rather than moving elsewhere?
Right. Well, yeah, a lot of young people are moving into Cote St Luc and buying the homes that were owned by individuals who built them in the 50s and 60s. And that part of the community is moving into condos and apartment buildings. And we do need more. And we also have individuals that can't afford to live in an expensive home or condo. So we need more low-cost housing developments as well. And every one of these redevelopment plans will have a low-cost housing unit so that individuals who already live in Cote St Luc can stay in Cote St Luc even if they can't go to a condo or afford apartment rents. So we're trying to find a way that everyone, parents, grandparents, children, can all live together. They don't have to go somewhere else, and they could stay in a city that they love. It's very flattering to hear that it's been growing since I became mayor five years ago.
I'm sure that's why.
That must be it.
Yeah.
But we do offer a lot for young families. It's not just for seniors. Our city offers theater, and it offers a lot of sports, and we're renovating our parks. We're just redoing one of our major parks, Kerwin Park, which is where all the originals built their homes. It's right near that area where all the people who came to Cote St Luc originally built their homes, and now young families want to see a beautiful big park. And it's almost done. It's going to be done in the next month.
I will ask, because this comes up every time the word development comes up, affordable housing, social housing, does that have to be by law part of whatever concept you end up with as a new master plan or not?
I don't think it has to be, and not to the extent that we want it. We know we need it. There's still 14% of the population that lives below the poverty line, and we know a lot of seniors that are on a fixed income and want to stay in the city have to have a place to go. So, and we already have proposals we have existing institutions in our city supported by Federation and other groups that are willing to consider building more.
So you factor that in. I'm only asking because you mentioned there's consultation available to the public here. So that is a factor in developing here. And I ask about it being the law because we know the situation Montreal is in, right? Every time and we've talked about this a million times, a developer will come in and say, yeah, we're going to do whatever we can. We'll promise to do this. And then at the end of the day, it's not done. They pay a fine and we forget about it. And I just wonder if that's something that is going to be taken into consideration in your plan.
Yeah, we want to put it into the master plan, and we want to have that availability and that requirement. And we also know there's a lot of, we want to hear from the people, right? We want to hear what they want. But what we're hearing from the people, for example, is they would like to see that there are sufficient religious institutions that are legally zoned for people not to be running them out of their homes. So we're going to make sure that that the mall owners, if they're going to redevelop, they're going to have a portion of that land that's going to allow for building a synagogue or a church or whatever is needed. You have to listen to the people and respond to their needs.
How long does this process? How long do you plan for it to go on for?
The consultation process is going on now, and then we're going to be getting proposals from the developers over the next year, and then we're going to go back to the people to hear what they think about those proposals. And those proposals really need to take into account what people are asking for in these surveys and in these meetings.
Now, I know out of the gate today, one of the first things you spoke about was access to public transit to try and lessen some of the burden of traffic. And yet the text that we got right away was saying, please ask Mayor Brownstein, what are you going to do about all the traffic with the increase in building? And so I think you can try to convince people, oh, yes, there's going to be more public transit, but those people are going to show up at your meetings and say, don't try and take away my car. So what do you want to say to people who are concerned about increased traffic in the area?
Well, we don't want to take away anybody's car. And we know certain people, particularly of a certain age, need to go places by car. But we also need to have other options. If you're going to have more transit options and people have the option to get to the metro or the REM, metro in 10 minutes, the REM maybe in 15 minutes, getting onto the train, there's a part of the community that will use that. So we see that there will be a reduction in traffic. That seems to be the trend whenever these type of developments are being built. There will be underground parking at all of these developments. There has to be, so that people will have a place to park their car. The first level of parking has to be for handicap access and near an elevator. And in the winter, that's a good thing.
Can't argue with that. I'll ask you one last thing as you run out of time, Mitchell, so you can let everybody know. Here's an exclusive. Mitchell, when is Cavendish Boulevard being opened?
An exclusive, isn't it? Well, the good news is it's at the BAP. It's at the Bureau d'Audience Publique right now as we speak, going through consultations, which is a good thing. It's not us that's doing it. For years, Cote St Luc, well, first they were for it, but then they have been for it since 1998. Now it's Montreal for the Hippodrome, for Royal Mount. They need it. They want it. Valerie Plante wants to build a carbon-neutral development without any cars. I don't know how she's going to do that, but that's what she wants. But she needs Cavendish Extension in order to put her rapid transit on. And we hope that we're going to have that rapid transit, whether it's an electric tramway that leaves from the Cavendish Mall and goes wherever you want. We want that too.
So you think, 2030, 2040, 2050? Do you want to weigh in on either of those possible dates, Mitchell?
I don't go to the casino.
I see.
I'm not a gambler.
Okay, fine. I'll say 2030. I can't imagine an end earlier than that. Mitchell, thank you so much. Appreciate the time as always.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Mitchell Brownstein, the mayor of Cote St Luc. Look, as I said, my mom lives out there, so I'm out there every week, and it's tough getting around. There's not a whole lot of different ways in or out of that city. That's part of the problem, I guess, right? Mm-hmm. You want to have public transit access. Where are you going? There's nowhere to go, really. You got to drive to Montreal West to CSET to hop on that on the computer line. Mm-hmm. Not that easy to do, and good luck finding a parking spot. but I wasn't going to bring that up.
Or you can ride your bike and then get your bike stolen like two of my friends did.
Perfect. Should have brought that up.